and 7 Spanish angels took another angel home.
Hey, I'm Willie Nelson, and you're watching HempRock TV.
We don't run, and we don't compromise, we don't quit, we never do.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am MSgt Tony Vance, the voice of freedom's voice. Tonight, let's talk about cannabis and cancer. I just been through that, but we'll get to that here in a little bit. There's a lot of indications that marijuana might be useful in treating cancer or fighting cancer, or however you want to say it. You've got the, I think it's 1974 Medical College of Virginia experiments where they injected tumorous mice with THC, and the tumors shrank by 30% before they shut down the experiment. You got Complutense University in Spain where they had in vitro, in the test tube, cancer cells, introduced THC, the cancer cells die. Then there's the work of Dr. Donald Tashkin, 2,500 subjects. And I imagine that the government was supporting that because it was going to prove that smoking marijuana caused lung cancer. It would have been a slam dunk for the government, you know. Except that's not what happened. What the researchers found out was that people who use marijuana on a regular basis get head, neck, and lung cancer at the same rate as people who don't smoke anything at all. And the researchers said there was some kind of a cancer preventer in marijuana that needed to be looked at. Well, here in America, they ain't done much looking. And that's basically because of the 1970 Controlled Substances Act says you're not allowed to do any research on marijuana unless it will show harm. Supported by the government, of course. So, you know, if the experiment looks like it's not showing harm, the government pulls out the funding, blah, blah. Everything goes to hell in a handbasket. So, you know, we don't know if there's a cure in cannabis, but there's a lot of indications there just might be. And, you know, there's anecdotal evidence. Many people say that they used cannabis when they were doing their chemo, and it aided them significantly. And I've talked to a few people who, after you do the 90-day protocol for Rick Simpson oil, which is a high THC oil made from marijuana that people do in conjunction with their chemo. Rick Simpson was a Canadian. He had skin cancer all on his arm. He developed this oil made from cannabis and slathered it on there and covered it up. And a week later, it was gone. And that oil has come to be known as RSO, or Rick Simpson oil. And a lot of people use it. And they're having success with it. But you can't scientifically stand there and say, well, yeah, cured my cancer. But, you know, like the Israeli scientists, they've been studying it for years, and they're moving right along. Now, I'll tell you my story. I was going to have a prostate procedure done in December of 2020. And the doctor said he wanted to scan my guts to make sure everything's okay before he did it. And it showed a large tumor on my pancreas, 4.2 by 4.7 centimeters, about 2 centimeters thick, from the neck to the tail. And I got a call, go to the doctor's office. I get to the doctor's office. They're all standing around with the thumb up their butt. Nobody would really look me in the eye. It was kind of weird. And when I walked in, the presentation was on the screen. And the minute I saw it, I knew what it was. You know, pancreas looks like a little fish. All the connections are in the head. You know, I knew what it was. And I looked out the window and son of a beauty. And then I turned around and looked at the doctor and said, what do I do? Well, I said, this is stage 4 pancreatic cancer, correct? And he said, yeah. And I said, okay, what do we do? So they immediately Took me to surgery, put a infusion port in. I got that baby right here if you want to see it. I can't get my buttons unbuttoned because of my neuropathy. Come on, you. There you go. See? That's it right there. They installed that. That baby runs up and into a vein in my neck. And that's where they put the poison in. So he put me on a diet of 5 different chemicals, all at the same time, once a week, once every other week, in a 4.5 hour treatment. And then there was another chemical, and I had to and a pump, and I had to take that home with me for 24 hours, just pumping stuff through me. And then I get 2 weeks to recover, and they did it again, and they did that 7 times, and then they did a scan. Now, the whole time they're doing that, I'm doing Rick Simpson oil. And it calls for the 90-day protocol. But once I got up to a gram a day, I just did a gram a day through the whole thing. I didn't stop. I was a little kind of afraid to cut back. But anyway, so we did the 7 treatments. I did the oil. The big tumor was reduced by half. We did another 7 of the same treatments, 14 weeks, and I'm doing the oil, gram a day, little bread pills, squirt the oil into a piece of bread and fold it up. You do a gram a day in 3 doses. A third of a gram, third of a gram, third of a gram every day. Morning, noon, and night, right? And so we did that during the second 7 treatments during the 14 weeks. And we had another scan, and the outer tumor, the big one, is gone. But there's a little tumor in the tail. Doc said, well, I want to try a different chemical, attack it from a different direction. And I don't care. Okay. I'm doing what he's the guy, He don't tell me how to install phones, and I don't tell him how to cure cancer. At any rate, we went ahead and did the second set of treatments. The outer tumor's already gone. So we did 4 treatments of a different kind of chemical. And those treatments were only 2.5 hours long, and they weren't as debilitating as the others were. I mean, the first 4 months of treatment was like a fog, man. I don't remember much of anything. So anyway, we done 14 weeks. Then we got the 4 weeks. The new treatments were one every week. Did that for 4 weeks, and then we had a scan. And the tiny tumor that was left in the tail, absolutely gone, completely gone. Well, what it was the report said that the scan could not see the tumor. So I asked the doc. I saw the doc the next day. Was it cloudy? Was it messed up? No, clear as a bell. The tumor's not there. So we do a couple more treatments, and then we go into maintenance, and I'll do a maintenance dose. I'll probably do a gram a day or a gram a week of the RSO. I talked to some people. They've been doing that for 9 years, and cancer's never come back. So that's what I'm going to do. But I cannot sit here and say that the oil killed the cancer. Although personally, I think that's part of what it did. But the other thing it did was that in the very beginning of this, they gave me like 7 prescriptions. I didn't even ask for them. And they were to make me eat, for nausea, for diarrhea, and all that stuff. And I haven't needed them at all through the entire thing. All my bodily functions have been relatively normal. I've had 2 incidences, one-time incidences of diarrhea. I haven't had any nausea, and my appetite's been fine, more or less. When the chemicals were real heavy, right after the treatment, you had trouble eating and all that stuff. But within a few days or 2, I was back to it. So in that sense, no, it didn't. I can't say it killed the cancer, but I can say it regulated my body to the point where I needed none of those 7 scripts. And all through the treatment, all my bodily functions have been normal. So I can't say that the oil has killed my cancer. Personally, I think it worked. Now, there's another interesting story that was in the Jerusalem Post. And let me tell you about it here. There's an Israeli biotech company called Cannabotech, and they reported on Monday the results of a cell model study conducted by Hadassah Medical Center physicians, examining the efficacy of cannabis breast products intended for treating breast cancer with drug protocols, chemotherapy, biological, and hormonal. The findings claim the products show up to a 6-fold improvement in killing cancer cells over the existing treatment. The experiment showed that in addition to the ability to increase the effectiveness of existing treatments, it may be possible to achieve increased efficacy of killing breast cancer cells while significantly reducing chemotherapy doses. So you can give people less chemo because of how they're responding with using cannabis at the same time. You can reduce the cancer doses, you can reduce the side effects. That's a huge advance. That's a huge thing. If that all pans out, we could be saving lives. The sad part is we could have been doing this before, years and years and years ago, if it weren't for our insane prohibition of marijuana. Simple as that. When I think about the millions of people who had their lives ruined, think about the millions of people who have died because of this, because of us demonizing this plant. It's insane. And I'll tell you what, I thoroughly believe that adding the cannabis to my treatment saved my life. I'm sure of it. I have no doubt. It's a miracle waiting to happen. And we need to end the federal harassment of Nixon's political enemies, because that's what prohibition was for. The 1972 Shaver Commission recommended that marijuana be decriminalized and that drugs were a medical problem, not a criminal one. Nixon declared the war on drugs so he could use it to harass his political enemies. They admitted that in 1993. So why are we still doing it? I don't know. Why are people dying because we can't actually research and access this medicine? I don't know. But it's a damn shame that they are. Now, I honestly believe the cannabis, in conjunction with the chemo, saved my life. And we need to pull our heads out of our nether regions and get on with making this medicine legal and get it into the people who needs it. If you live in Michigan and you're a veteran, you use medical cannabis, get a hold of me. 517-224-9037. We're trying to work on a program to get the state to help veterans pay for their medical cannabis needs. My oil during the year's treatment, 1 year treatment, run about $9,600. And so, if I had not been lucky enough to be left $5,000 by my uncle, and a few other lucky things came along, I might have been dead by now because I couldn't afford the oil. So, like I say, get a hold of me. We're working on a program. We need as many bets as we can to get together so that when we get to the legislature, we can say, these are the people that need help. And hopefully they'll do it. What I was told, I talked to a chief of staff of a state senator, and what I was told was, it'll be done. It's just a matter of when. So give me a call. Oil works for cancer. I don't know how it works, but I do know that it definitely made my treatment way more bearable than it would have been. I constantly had the nurses telling me, oh, you look so good. You're doing so great. So it's hard to imagine what it would have been like if I didn't have the oil, how terrible it would have been. But we're alive. We're still kicking. And I got, let's see, I got what should be my last treatment Sunday. And I'll let you know how that comes out next time we do a show for you. Okay? I got to see the doc I had the treatment tomorrow and then Sunday, and then I see the doc, and he'll tell me what we're going to do, and we'll do it. So y'all take care. I'll let you know what happens when I find out, and we'll see you next time.
Hi, I'm Willie Nelson, and the Willie Nelson Teapot Party and I endorse Veterans for Medical Cannabis Access.
Just roll me up and smoke me when I die.